Hello, hello, okay. Thank you. صباح الخير جميعا. Good morning, everyone. We are still having some challenges in getting most of the audience inside, most of the participants. Probably we should have scheduled things a bit later than 9:30. But anyways, we can start with the distinguished audience and distinguished panelists who are here already. We are going to take your permission to reschedule a bit the subsequent sessions for two reasons. One of the reasons is related to, as we see, the late start. The other thing related also to a side event that has to take place before some of the participants in side event have to go to the airport for unforeseen change in schedule. So they have to go and we have to respect the side event as well. So bear with us, our team, Mohamed Bazo and the colleagues will keep updating everyone with the adjustment in the schedule on the go during the day using the email. Okay? So now we are starting to implement the dynamism in like handling the time management, which is usually what we always do through the websites or the announcements and so on. So anyways, without further ado, let me introduce now the session that will start with. Probably we will reschedule a little bit forward the session of the third consultations. So just please forgive us. This session is part of the tracks of the segment on the Arab High Level Forum on WSIS 2030 agenda. In fact, it's plenary session 2 on digital economy challenges and opportunities, global and regional perspectives. So let me introduce the panel and let them start taking their seats as I call their names, please. So this panel has a number of participants. Let me start by Mr. Torbjorn Fredriksson, Head of E-Commerce and Digital Economy Branch on UNCTAD. And we have also Mr. Juan Moroni, Digital Transformation and Policy Expert, Universal Postal Union. And from the region, we have Mr. Saud Humaid Al-Shuaili, Director General Policies and Governance, Head of National Space Program in the Ministry of Transport and ICT in Oman. Also from the region, we have our partners of the Arab Digital Agenda, Mr. Ayman Ghunaim, Assistant Secretary General from the Arab Federation for the Digital Economy. From Jordan, we have Ms. Suhair Uraiqat, International Relations Manager, representing Ms. Hanadi Tayyib, CEO of Jordan Post. And remotely, also due to unforeseen travel changes, Mr. Fadi Salem, I don't know if he's there or not, he said he will try his best, is Director of Policy Research Department, Mohammed bin Rashid School of Government. He was supposed to be here. He traveled yesterday for changes in some kind of obligations over there. And last not least, we have a confirmation, and I hope he's there already, our partner in the Islamic Development Bank, Mr. Syed Mohammed Shahrayar Jawied, Senior ICT Specialist in the Islamic Development Bank. Shahrayar, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Good morning. Thank you for being with us while you're on travel. Okay, and let me introduce also our rapporteur from ESCWA, Mr. Rami Zatari from UN ESCWA. and he will be continuing his role in coordinating this session and now in reporting on it. So let me start setting the scene by contextualization on two things. The perspective of the speaker on digital economy and the linkages between the organization and the Arab Digital Agenda, which we are trying all to boost its implementation and boost its achievement of targets. So the first speaker I chose to be my friend and colleague from the UN Secretariat, which is a story. Where is the Secretariat? What is not Secretariat? But we are very close in the organizational structure. So they are based in Geneva. The UNCTAD is a very important player in the UN Group in Information Society. And also they are the leader in the digital economy in the United Nations. And we're working together on the Global Digital Compact. So I'd like to hear his perspective on the digital economy at large, give us like a panoramic bird view on the digital economy, its space, and other things related to divides and our readiness and things like that. This would set the scene. And then he may also allude to our partnership, which he explained in the first opening session of the partners panel. And the flow will be then I will go to another UN organization, UPU, and afterwards we go to the Arab region. So Torbjörn, in 3, 4, 5 minutes maximum, because of the sake of the time, let us hear your views.
Thank you, Ayman. And sorry, let me start again by thanking the organizers for having UNCTAD involved in this important gathering. We think that when you talk about digital and development, cooperation is essential because it's a very challenging task that we have set for ourselves to make sure that we can have inclusive digital economy so that we don't have a situation where some countries are doing extremely well and some are doing very, very poorly. And this challenge is something that characterizes the whole world as a whole, but we also see it here in the Arab region. So the topic is very, 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 very timely, very, very important. I would like to start by just noting the tremendous pace of change that we are witnessing when it comes to digitalization, and that means also the digital economy. When we started this process of collaboration globally 20 years ago, we were talking about the internet, mainly the internet, and there were not that many connected to the internet in those days. In fact, 20 years ago, we had about 1 billion people on the internet, and now we have more than 5 billion. We had only about 100 million online shoppers. Now we have 2.3 billion online shoppers in the world. Then we have seen all the new applications, the cloud computing, the big data, the Internet of Things. We're seeing now the fast rollout of 5G mobile broadband and so on and so forth. And of course, everyone is talking about artificial intelligence. This means that we are seeing within 2 decades of tremendous change, tremendous differences for people, for businesses, for government to deal with a very fast evolving environment. And at the same time, we have this enormous digital divides. Even here in the Arab world, we know that in some countries, we are really at the top in terms of e-commerce usage, for instance, with the 80%, 90% of people buying things online. And in other parts, less than 20% of the population are engaging in e-commerce. It's a very different universe in such a small part of the same world. So the question is, how do we become digitally ready? How do we build the readiness of countries and the players within countries to take part in the digital economy and to benefit from it? Well, one thing is that it takes more than connectivity. We need to build the skills. We need to have the regulatory frameworks. We need to have payment solutions in place. We need to have financing opportunities for small businesses in the digital economy, and so on and so forth. The main takeaway of that is that this is not a job for one ministry. It takes many ministries' involvement. in working in sync with each other. And that's a big challenge for all governments, whether it's in a rich country or a less affluent country. In addition to that, we need to have good, effective collaboration between the different stakeholders. We talk, especially between the private sector and the government, because everything is changing so fast. Governments need to understand what's happening in the markets, and therefore they have to have good collaboration with the private sector. What UNCTAD did about 9 years ago now, we created something called E-Trade for All, because we wanted to make sure that we at the global level also worked effectively together. You know, every ministry has a part of the UN. And if we have silos between the ministries and governments, we will also have silos in the global level. We needed to come together and work with the various international organizations. So in 2016, we launched the E-Trade for All initiative in Nairobi at our ministerial meeting, together with 14 other organizations. And I'm very proud that ESCWA and all the other regional commissions were part of that process. The Universal Postal Union was part of it. The ITU, the Internet Society, ISOC, and the Islamic Development Bank were part of this process from the outset. I'm very happy that several of those are here today in this discussion. More recent partners are, for instance, the Digital Cooperation Organization, DCO, based in Saudi Arabia. So this has been an evolving partnership, which now has 35 member organizations. Now, what do we do then to build this digital readiness? One is that we need to work nationally. So what UNCTAD does, we work with the member states. We have worked with many of the Arab states to do what we call e-trade readiness assessments, to develop e-commerce strategies, to identify who should do what in the government, which ministry should take the lead. And oftentimes you end up in turf battles between different ministries in this area. We need to work regionally, which is something that we can see here, for example, in the Arab Digital Agenda, which we are part of and we want to support as much as we can. But some of the things need to be discussed globally as well. For instance, how do we develop proper taxation in the digital economy, where a lot of things are sold in our countries, but there's no physical presence of the companies that are selling it? How do we deal with data at the global level so that every country can reap benefits from the data economy? Trade, of course, with digitalization, trade is changing very fast. And competition. We have right now a very heavy market concentration in the digital economy. How should we deal with that? Competition policies are national, but the global market structure is very global. Now, UNCTAD stands ready to support the Arab states, the Arab region in this area of e-commerce, whether it's at the national level, like here at the regional level, or at the global level. At the global level, UNCTAD has been asked to co-lead the development of the inclusive digital economy part of the Global Digital Compact that was launched in September last year. We're also involved in the data governance area. So in doing so, we will work closely also with our partners in this context. We will be co-leading with UNIDO, the inclusive digital economy area, and with the UN University in the data governance area. But the regional commissions will be very active throughout all these areas, including with ESCWA. So let me stop there.
That's a very good intro to this context of digital economy. And as you said, part of the digital economy players, the regional commissions, many others, and also UPU. So that's why we want to move to the perspective of UPU in digital economy, especially sometimes it is overlooked, the role of the post and also the focus on these issues related to e-commerce fulfillment, payments, which is part of the e-commerce and digital economy story. So can you, Mr. Juan Moroni, tell us more about that?
Please. Hello? Yes, does it work? Yeah. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, first of all, for your invitation. So the UPU is very happy to be represented at this very important forum. So Ayman, I actually think you're raising a very important question, the why the postal sector is actually traditionally overlooked in this kind of very important discussions related to the development of the digital economy. And in order to explain that, let me please take one step back. And maybe a lot of you are not familiar with the Universal Postal Union. So the UPU is the United Nations Specialized Agency for the postal sector. And the main role of the institution is actually to ensure a global, seamless postal territory across the whole world. And I'm mentioning this because initially, the Universal Postal Union was actually conceived as a way to ensure the right of every citizen in the world to communication, so their access to communication. But fast forward to the 21st century and all the very fast, let's say, changing conditions that Torbjörn was referring to. Now the network is no longer a communication network. The network is actually a trade network. And it's not only a trade network, it's an inclusive trade network because it's made up of what we call the designated postal operators. And that means the postal operator designated by their governments to fulfill what we call the universal service obligation, which is basically the provision of basic postal services to every citizen across the whole territory. And this is very important to highlight because as we discuss on what could be the best mechanism to actually implement the Arab digital agenda, how we can actually promote or advance an inclusive digital economy, the postal network is one of the, or should be one of the key vehicles for the implementation of a sustainable and inclusive digital economy. Even now, 70% of the postal operators in the Arab region offer at least one e-commerce service, at least one digital financial service, and at least one government service. So this is a very clear illustration that the network should be placed as a key implementation vehicle in the Arab digital agenda. And also, when we speak of e-commerce, so e-commerce is clearly growing, but one very important component is that cross-border e-commerce is expected to grow twice as fast as the wider e-commerce. And the estimation is that by 2030, cross-border e-commerce should reach $5.6 trillion. So it's certainly, let's say, a very big opportunity, and certainly we have to get it right. But also, as you were saying, Ayman, and you also mentioned that, Torbjörn. So in order to be able to implement or to advance this inclusive digital economy, several things have to be in place. Of course, we have to bridge the digital divide. There should be in place trustworthy and reliable payment mechanisms. And of course, we have to ensure that everyone can actually benefit from the access to the digital economy. And on that note, I also would like to, let's say, highlight that also the postal network can play also a key role for the advancement of a sustainable and inclusive deployment of the digital infrastructure. And we have seen this in several countries in which the postal operator also, for example, facilitates the co-location of telecom passive infrastructure. We have seen several cases in which the postal operator also facilitates even the monitoring of the spectrum coverage of the mobile network operators. So with that, I do not want to go into let's say more details, but I just wanted to illustrate all the potential in actually leveraging the postal network for the advancement of an inclusive digital economy.
That's very good. And I think that makes me now start smiling because I was a little bit in the morning, bit tired, but we worked a lot to get UPU into our network of the Arab Digital Agenda. Last was when we met the colleagues in Geneva in the UNGIS. We are members of the UNGIS, as Torbjörn said, the ITU, UNCTAD, UNESCO, and myself. And we have a meeting every year, once for 40 organizations in a morning breakfast. But we had in mind to get UPU on. This was not only the motivation because we are in the UNGIS, but because our Ministerial Council of Arab Ministers of ICT has two twins or two subsidiary bodies, the Permanent Committee on ICT and the Permanent Committee on Post. And we always meet with this small family of this, the council and the two committees. So 3 years ago, when we were working on this Arab Digital Agenda, we said we have to bring the posts into it, regardless of the structure, where do we fit with which committee. But end of the day, even sectors outside of the Ministerial Council of ICT are interested in the Arab Digital Agenda, the education sector, the health sector, and so on. So you are in the right place, in the right time. And this is part of the beauty of, as you said, the network. We built a network now. So let me, for a change now, speak about the national perspectives, and then we will have two regional perspectives afterwards, one related to from the region. So we'll start now by two countries, Oman, then Jordan. We'll listen to the national perspective, and then we continue our story of the panel for the Arab Forum on Digital Economy and the Islamic Development Bank after Oman and Jordan. So Dr. Saoud Humaid Al-Shuaili in Oman, in the Ministry of Transport and ICT, has the dual roles or multiple roles in this telecom landscape and let us say universe. So let us speak first about the digital economy. And I know you have a role also in leading the space program. So for the digital economy, you have made significant strides in the digital economy, digital transformations, and you have the program, the national program on that. So what are the lessons that can be learned from your experience, especially in balancing your attention to the infrastructure with attention to the digital economy? And then we'll leave the space to another round, unless if you want to continue your perspective with the space, so feel free to do that.
Thank you very much. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I mean, before I start, I would like to take this opportunity to express my gratitude for our friends in ISCWA for inviting us to participate in this wonderful forum that gather the different stakeholders in the digital economy and digitization process. Also, I would like to thank our friends from the Ministry of ICT in Jordan for their hospitality and wonderful arrangement of this forum. But I think I will shift from English to Arabic, just to keep our friends busy in translating. Okay. أنا أحب أن أعطي المستمع أولاً كيف بدأت رحلة الاقتصاد الرقمي في عمان. سابقاً قبل عام 2021 كان معنا عدة استراتيجيات في السلطنة، كلها متعلقة بالديجيتال ايكونومي والديجيتايزيشن. كان في معنا الناشونال اي سي تي استراتيجي، كان في معنا ناشونال اي كوميرس استراتيجي، كان في معنا ناشونال برود باند استراتيجي، كان في معنا ناشونال سايبر سيكيورتي استراتيجي، والناشونال اي كوميرس استراتيجي از ويل. وكل واحدة من هذولا معنية عنها جهة معينة. فكان في challenge how can we bring everybody on board and we make strategic alignment يعني محاذاة استراتيجية ما بين مختلف الجهات. فبعد ما أنشئت وزارة هذه الوزارة الاتصالات وتقنية والاتصال، وزارة النقل والاتصالات وتقنية المعلومات، كان الاقتراح أنه تضم كل هذه الاستراتيجيات تحت مظلة واحدة تسمى خارطة الاقتصاد الرقمي الوطني في عمان. فجمعت كل هذه الاستراتيجيات وهي multi stakeholder exercise. أخذنا من كل جهة البروجكت مانجر اللي كان معني عن هذه الاستراتيجيات في مختلف الجهات، يعني مثلا من وزارة التجارة والصناعة الأشخاص المعنيين عن التجارة الإلكترونية، من ناشونال سايبر ديفنس سنتر أخذنا المعنيين عن الأمن السيبراني، الوزارة بحد ذاتها معنية عن البنية الأساسية للاتصالات وتقنية معلومات، معنية أيضا هي عن التخطيط للاتصالات والتحول الرقمي في السلطنة. فجمعنا كل هذا من مختلف المؤسسات طبعا والمؤسسات الأكاديمية والبحثية، وتم إعداد البرنامج الوطني للاقتصاد الرقمي بما يتوافق طبعا مع الرؤية الوطنية العامة للسلطنة اللي احنا نطلق عليها في عمان الرؤية 2040. وتم تحديد ما هي الأهداف الوطنية لها، ثم تم تقسيم هذه الأهداف إلى أهداف مؤسسية مثل ما ذكر زميلنا من الإسكوا. يعني we went to the level to define who should do what من هذه الأهداف الوطنية كي تتحقق على مستوى الاقتصاد الرقمي. إيش هو الدور الذي بتلعبه وزارة النقل والاتصالات؟ إيش هو الدور التنظيمي الذي ستقوم به هيئة تنظيم الاتصالات؟ إيش هو الدور الذي ستقوم به مختلف الجهات، وزارة التجارة، وزارة العدل والشؤون القانونية في مراجعة التشريعات الجديدة، مركز الدفاع الإلكتروني. فتم توزيعها. ولكن التحدي الكبير اللي واجهناه وإحنا نعد هذه الاستراتيجية كان حاجتين، وحاجة واحدة أنا سمعت التطرق لها سابقا اللي هو نقص البيانات. لحد الحين حتى تعريف ما هو الاقتصاد الرقمي ما في توافق على المستوى العالمي. What is it؟ يعني احنا كلنا نتكلم digital economy. What do we mean exactly by digital economy? What are the indicators or the indices that precisely measure يعني أنشطة الاقتصاد الرقمي؟ فكان معانا تحدي إحنا كيف نعرف وضعنا الآن عشان نقدر نحط هدفنا المستقبلي، لأنه إحنا كل حاجة رابطينها بال2040. فكم واقع كم يعني how much the digital economy is performing currently. فكان أفضل حاجة ناخذها من البيانات المتاحة والمتوفرة هو ناخذ إحنا ال ICT performance، ال ICT sector contribution to the GDP. فبدأنا يعني كأفضل حاجة to be optimistic it is just 2%. لأنه حتى في الاي سي تي كان في معانا تحدي آخر. كان في يعني الوزارة كانت تقيس فقط الأنشطة المتعلقة بالوزارة، لكن في أنشطة أخرى متعلقة بجهات أخرى ما كانوا يفصلوها كأنشطة متعلقة بهذا القطاع. يعني أنا أعطيكم مثال واحد من التحديات. كانت وزارة المالية تعتبر شراء جهاز الكمبيوتر أو شراء الكرسي للمكتب كلها أغراض مكتبية، مع أنه حجم الإنفاق على الاي سي تي يفترض يعزل. فهم يعتبروا أيضا السيرفس التي تدفع للإنترنت يعتبروها مثل السيرفس للمياه، فيعتبروها تحت بند الخدمات المصروفة للوزارات. فدخلنا في شوية يعني نوع من تشالنج أيضا how to convince those people أنه يعملوا account separation. يعني how to separate الاي سي تي من فاتورة وزارة الصحة، من فاتورة وزارة التربية. It's not only to serve us in the ministry for the digital economy purposes but it's even for them to know كم هذه الوزارة تأخذ فعلياً بكل ما تحتاجه هذه الوزارة، كم هذه الوزارة تأخذ فعلياً، وبعدين we cascade it or aggregate it at a national level. التحدي الآخر كان هو قبول الجهات اللي كانت معنية عن كل استراتيجية أن تنطوي تحت مظلة واحدة. هذه المظلة بتكون مسؤولة عنها وزارة النقل والاتصالات وتقنية المعلومات باعتبارها the right custodian for the digital economy، لأنها معنية عن التحول الرقمي، معنية عن البنية الأساسية، معنية عن التشريعات الرقمية. فكان في تحدي نوعا ما أنه مثلا كيف نقنع الأخوة في وزارة التجارة والصناعة إحنا we bring that strategy في الديجيتال ايكونومي بروجرام. We bring the strategy مال cyber security as part of the digital economy program. فهذه strategic alignment at the national level أخذت وقت. And then to ensure أنه what we are saying will be executed down the road مع الأيام، تم اقتراح إنشاء لجنة وطنية اسمها اللجنة الوطنية المشرفة على الاقتصاد الرقمي reporting directly to the cabinet not to the minister. It reports directly to the cabinet. هذه اللجنة هي عبارة عن نواب الوزراء. كل وزارة احنا نسميه نائب الوزير، نسميه الوكيل، وكيل الوزارة. في بعض الدول يسميه نائب الوزير. فمن كل وزارة أو من كل جهة أخذنا نواب الوزراء أو وكلاء الوزارات وشكلنا لجنة وطنية. هذه اللجنة تم تشكيلها أيضا بقرار من مجلس الوزراء وليس بقرار من الوزارة. هذه معنية باعتماد أي أنشطة في الاقتصاد الرقمي، معنية باعتماد حتى البيانات الإحصائية، معنية باعتماد حذف وإضافة أي حاجة في هذا البرنامج الوطني بعد أن اعتمد، معنية برفع تقارير دورية إلى الكابينت إلى مجلس الوزراء. يعني ترفع مباشرة من خلال وزير النقل والاتصالات.
Go ahead.
اوكي. فهذا الحوكمة اللي عملناها واللي عطت نيوتراليتي in its nature، بأنه ليس وزير الاتصالات هو المشرف على هذه اللجنة وإنما الكابينت. وزير الاتصالات فقط يأخذ التقارير ويرفعها، وأعطت أيضا نوع من تحمل المسؤولية على مختلف الوزارات، أنه هذه الخارطة خارطة وطنية وليست خارطة مؤسسية، معني عنها مختلف الوزارات وليست فقط وزارة النقل والاتصالات. وحتى في الخارطة حددنا بأنه هذا الانيشيتيف it has to be executed by X and Y. البادجت لما نحصل احنا من الوزارة immediately it goes to that يعني organization. الحمد لله يعني قطعنا شوط طيب. هذه المواءمة اللي عملناها والانتجريشن بين مختلف الإفورتس من هذه الوزارة مع هذه الوزارة مع هذه المؤسسة، أولا حتى أعطى مصداقية على مستوى الدولة أنه صاير في تعاون ما بين المؤسسات. حاولنا نتفادى قضية one man show or we claim the credit. If the credit belongs to X organization, then it is their credit and we all clap for them. If it is someone else, it is someone else. فهذا أعطى مصداقية للبرنامج، مصداقية للحوكمة، حتى لدى وزارة المالية لما نطلب للاقتصاد الرقمي، لمشاريع الاقتصاد الرقمي، هم يعرفوا أنه هذا المشروع بكل تفاصيله ضمن الخطة المؤسسية للمركز الفلاني أو للبرنامج الفلاني. وجمعنا كل القطاعات الرقمية اللي هي إما أنها تسهم مباشرة أو ممكنة. يعني مثلا قطاع الفضاء من ضمن برامج الاقتصاد الرقمي اللي هو حيكون في جلسة.
Now it's clear. So I'm sorry to interrupt you. فبرنامج الفضاء علاقته بأنه برنامج من البرامج اللي تبع الاقتصاد الرقمي.
ممكن الاقتصاد الرقمي، لكن بيكون في another session in the afternoon.
بالضبط. طيب في سيشن هنتكلم فيها تفاصيل عن السبيس، لكن في نفس الوقت دور السبيس في الديجيتال ايكونومي ممكن يكون سؤالنا في الراوند الثاني،
في الراوند الثاني مش هنا
نعمل كونكشن. قصدي مش في الجلسه الاخيره، قصدي في الراوند الثاني من الاسئله.
هنسيبه للجلسه الاخيره.
طيب يبقى اذا احنا بنأكد ان في جلسه مهمه جدا بعد الغداء، لان this is really something very new to the region.
عشان عمل التشويق يعني.
بالضبط، انا معاك، انا بحب طيب
علشان انا ما اطول يعني this is how the digital economy program evolved in Oman, where we started and where we are now. And while يعني what we have achieved is not something maybe big or wow if we compare it to others, but at least we are moving slow. But by the end of the day, we are sure that we are moving, even if it is a small steps, لكنها better than how it was in the past.
Slow but sure.
Slow but sure.
Thank you so much.
أنا طولت.
لا أبدا، بالعكس حضرتك ألقيت إضاءات مهمة، ويهمنا تجربة فعلا حية من الدول العربية، واحنا كمان يعني على طول في تواصل مع بعض في اجتماعات مجلس الوزراء او من خلال تعاون الإسكوا على المستوى الدولة بصفة عامة، حيث شرفنا بان احنا وضعنا الخطة معاهم الخطة الخمسية الحادية عشر ل 2026-2030، وفيها الجزء الخاص بالاقتصاد الرقمي والتنمية الرقمية، وان شاء الله نكمل تعاوننا. ويمكن يا ريت نعمل بايلاترال ميتنج النهارده قبل ما حضرتك تتشغل، يعني النهارده او بكره، عشان نكمل التعاون في هذا الإطار. دلوقتي برضو ما زلنا في السياق الوطني، وطبعا مهم جدا ان احنا مع الدولة المضيفة، مع المملكة الأردنية الهاشمية، وما يحدث فيها من كمية كبيرة جدا من التطوير والتحديث في المجال الرقمي وفي مجال البريد بالذات. يعني كان في تحديث كبير مؤخرا فعايزين نعرف من حضرتك السيدة سهير وريقات موضوع الخدمات التقنية الجديدة والرقمية والتجارة، ازاي طورتوا مبادرات جديدة لهذا الموضوع، وبعدين ممكن later on في آخر راوند نتكلم على التعاون العربي. بس دلوقتي عايزين نعرف على الأردن أكتر والبوست سيكتور.
Thank you for giving me the floor, and thank you for being with us today. I shared a presentation for Jordan Post Digital Services. I don't know if colleagues can share the screen or not.
Let's have just interventions, thoughts, because of the sake of the dynamic dialogue. So just talking points.
Okay, I will talk in a brief about Jordan Post Digital Services. First of all, we all know now digital transformation for postal operators is not a vision. Now it came a priority, you know, in the digital expanding age. So now I think postal operators, if they do not expand their services and embrace digital transformation, I think they won't have an opportunity to compete at all. Now I think we all know that the traditional mail letters, they are declining. So we have to take the opportunity and leverage from e-commerce growth. I think digital transformation, why companies need digital transformation, especially postal operators, we need digital transformation to, I think, revenue growth, to innovation also, to get better customer satisfaction. So I think now it is a priority to embrace digital transformation. I also want to say that the digital postal services, now they are, I think, classified into four groups: e-post and e-government, e-finance, and also e-commerce. Here in Jordan Post, we have, I think we have developed our services, you know. First of all, we have now e-financial services. Now we have bill payments online. We have money transfers. Now we have agreement and partnership with Western Union and MoneyGram. Also, we have issued prepaid cards, multi-currency prepaid cards for students to study abroad and also for travelers. We also have issued prepaid cards for national aid funds. These are people that need funds to transfer their salaries to their cards. They used to take their cards from post offices. Now they take their cards, their salaries within cards. They can withdraw from ATMs and they can, you know, buy from supermarkets. Okay, and they can use it also for online, buying online. I think also I want to talk about e-post. Okay, I want to talk also about e-post. Now we have launched an e-shop on our website. You can find it on Jordan Post website. You can buy digital stamps, and we offer this shop for also women. They can market their products on our website, and we can deliver their products with competitive fees. Also, we offer digital identity. Now we offer, you know, a Sanad activation, okay, through all our post offices by the Iris Guard activation. And also, we provide online track and trace for our shipments.
Thank you so much. This is really marvelous and amazing transformation, and even the classification of the e-post, the e-commerce, the e-government, and this kind of classification shows exactly the subsectors you are working on. And I'm commending again the reality that the post has been the first thing that the telecom genius, creative people, the fathers of the telecom mimicked. They mimicked the postal thing, and they started thinking about telegraph, and then started thinking about the telecom. So it usually been known as PTT. Yani when we started this earlier in the age of the university, that it was called the PTT. And even in every country that was the Ministry of the Post, Telegraph, and Telecom. So we are back all converging once again and taking the space with us once more, but which we will discuss in the last session today. So now we move to another important player in the region that is a part of the family of the League of Arab States, the Economic Union Council اللي هو مجلس الوحدة الاقتصادية العربي وهو which is the Arab Forum and Federation on Digital Economy أو الاتحاد العربي للاقتصاد الرقمي. هو مجلس الوحدة الاقتصادية العربي وهو which is the Arab Forum and Federation. There is echo. Thank you for echoing me, echoing me. Can we stop this like delay? It stopped. Maybe this is my avatar. Huh? That is the problem of I'm working too much with the metaverse guys. So please, this stop the mic. Solve this solution, please, technical guys. Huh? No avatar anymore. Okay. So that is part of our culture. We innovate and we tolerate some errors because we learn by trial and error. No avatar. Okay, that's good this time. So that is a good, like reviving the spirit
This
for.
is part of the digital transformation.
Exactly.
You
This
need
is
to
the
take
challenges you are
You need
facing.
to take it into consideration.
Every now and then you face
It's not only pros.
There is some cons, but as I said, our culture, creative community is to be proud of taking the chance to listen to errors and tolerate it. And he's smiling. Maybe he faced a lot in the program with the community, and it is more complex when it goes with the citizens, and we are still in a small stage room. Let us go back to the Arab Federation on Digital Economy. Now people are more alive because of the avatar, so you can listen to you better.
شكرا جزيلا أخ أيمن على هذه الدعوة. اسمحوا لي في البداية أقول لكم إن يعني الاتحاد العربي للاقتصاد الرقمي زي ما دكتور أيمن تفضل هو جزء من مجلس الوحدة الاقتصادية العربية ويبقى برئاسة سمو الشيخ بن زايد كرئيس لهذا الاتحاد. الحقيقة الاتحاد كان بدأ رحلة الاقتصاد الرقمي أو بدأ بإصدار الرؤية العربية للاقتصاد الرقمي من سنة 18 وكانت اعتمدت من القمة العربية في سنة 2022 والاتحاد وجد تكامل وفرصة تكاملية جيدة جدا مع فريق الإسكوا واللجنة الدائمة للاتصالات ونظم المعلومات الجهة الممثلة لمجلس الوزاري للاتصالات ونظم المعلومات العرب وكان بارت من فريق إعداد الأجندة الرقمية العربية اللي هي تعتبر حاليا هي الرؤية الاستراتيجية الحقيقية أو الكاملة للمنطقة العربية أو تشكل الجايد لاين الأساسي للتحول الرقمي في المنطقة العربية. الحقيقة العلاقة بين الاقتصاد الرقمي والتحول الرقمي هي علاقة وطيدة وأقدر خليني أشرحها بطريقة تانية والأمور تظهر عند مقارنتها. خلوني الأول أخذ مثال بالاقتصاد الزراعي وأوضح مفهوم الاقتصاد الزراعي وإزاي بيتقاس وبعدين أطلع منه على الاقتصاد الرقمي. الاقتصاد الزراعي هو الاقتصاد اللي بيتم فيه الصرف على العملية الزراعية والعمال الزراعيين وتمهيد الأرض وتصليحها وتجهيز المياه والسماد وما إلى آخره من تكاليف والعائد بتاعها المباشر هو عائد حصيلة مبيعات المنتجات الزراعية. لما نيجي بقى للاقتصاد الرقمي هل بينطبق عليه نفس المفهوم ولا لا؟ لأن حصل يمكن المناقشة فيما سبقني من الإخوة اتكلموا عن تعريف الاقتصاد الرقمي وكيف يقاس وما هو مفهومه وما هي حدوده. وفعلا في اختلاف عالمي كبير في تفسير الاقتصاد الرقمي. فهل الاقتصاد الرقمي هو الاي سي تي ايكونومي؟ فبالتالي يبقى هو كافة المدخلات والمخرجات لصناعة الاي سي تي، سواء على شكل أجهزة، كمبيوترز، سيرفرز، موبايلات، وبرامج وتطوير برامج. هو ده الاقتصاد الرقمي، ولا الاقتصاد المتأثر بالتحول الرقمي؟ لما نرجع تاني للمثال على الاقتصاد الزراعي، هنلاقي الآتي: الاقتصاد الزراعي طب ما هو بيأثر على حياة البشر كلها، فبالتالي وجود استمرار حياة البشر مرتبطة بالزراعة. فهل أقدر أقول الفاينل إمباكت هو المتمثل بالاقتصاد الزراعي هو الاقتصاد العالمي كله بنفس المفهوم اللي أنا عايز أطبقه على الاقتصاد الرقمي؟ الحقيقة في عنصر في غاية الأهمية يجب الإشارة إليه: قدرة الاقتصاد الرقمي إنها تعمل بوستنج أو تكبير للعائد من العائد الاقتصادي. وأنا هنا مهتم بالاقتصاد، هي دي النقطة اللي اختلفت عن أي نوع آخر من أنواع الاقتصاد، هو قريب شديد الاقتراب من اقتصاد المعرفة. فبقى إحنا قدامنا في الاقتصاد الرقمي عدة عناصر بنهتم بيها وبنضعها كماكسيمم اوبجكتيفز بالنسبة لنا. أول حاجة maximizing أو boosting the productivity، تضخيم الإنتاجية وتعظيم العائد منها. اتنين، إزالة العوائق و removing ال obstacles and barriers. التلاتة اللي هو enhancing ال quality of human life، أو تحسين حياة الإنسان. فالثلاث عناصر دول هم العناصر اللي احنا بنهتم بيهم في الاقتصاد الرقمي. وعلى هذا الأساس البيلر 3 أو المحور الثالث من العرب ديجيتال أجندة أما ركزت على الاقتصاد الرقمي ذهبت إلى هذه المحاور الثلاثة واهتمت بيها، سواء كان في المحور الثالث أو في المحاور الأخرى. لأن في جميع، حتى عندنا محور الحياة الاجتماعية أو محور الأمور الخاصة بالتنظيم الحياة البشرية نفسها، ف العرب ديجيتال أجندة بقت هي معبر عن الاقتصاد الرقمي بشكل جيد جدا. وهو ده الهدف، ان احنا نعظم ونشتغل على التحول الرقمي ونستثمر فيه، لان احنا بننتظر منه هذه العوائد. فلازم يكون طبعا في ضمن استراتيجياتنا الوطنية نفس هذه الرؤية كاسكيد داون على نفس المشاريع. لازم نبقى دايما بنسأل نفسنا لما بنيجي نعمل مشروع الأثر بتاعه ايه، الدايركت امباكت والاندايركت امباكت. باقي ان انا اقول ايه؟ طيب لما احنا اتكلمنا كده دخلنا في تعريف الاقتصاد الرقمي وقلنا هو الاقتصاد المتأثر بالتحول الرقمي، المتأثر او المتضخم نتيجة التحول الرقمي. أصبح هذا الأمر في غاية الأهمية. ليه؟ لأنه أثره التحويلي يفوق ال 40 وال 50%. يعني إحنا النهارده حتى الاقتصاد الصيني كما هو معلن في الليتريتشرز بتاعتهم بيقول إن الإمباكت الاقتصاد الصيني أو الإمباكتد دايركت الإمباكتد إيكونومي في الصين تساوي 50%، وهي بتزيد كمان عن نتيجة التحول الرقمي. في الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية في إحصاءاتهم لغاية سنتين مروا كانوا بيتكلموا في حدود ال 30%. في المنطقة العربية الحقيقة الموضوع ده غير مقاس بشكل مباشر، لكن اللي بيتقاس بشكل جيد جدا الاي سي تي ايكونومي، اللي هي بتمثل العمليات المباشرة في تداول وتناول الاي سي تي اللي هو الانفورميشن تكنولوجي اند تيليكوم. دي من ناحية. من ناحية تانية يمكن في جولة تانية للحديث دكتور أيمن ولا؟
خلينا نستكمل بعد ما ناخد المتحدث التالي. والمتحدث التالي الحقيقة هو من الستيك هولدرز المهمة جدا، وهي البنوك تمويل التنمية. بنوك تمويل التنمية متعددة في على المستوى العالمي، على المستوى الإقليمي، على مستوى الصناديق. ومن أهم هذه البنوك واللي احنا في دي حوار لصيق معهم هحاول الجانب التنفيذي والتمويلي لمشروعات بعينها من الأجندة الرقمية العربية. والحقيقة أبدو اهتمام بجدية شديدة، بقى لنا 4-5 شهور تقريبا في لقاءات وحوارات. ويمكن كمان اتكلمت شوية، مش عشان أنا متحيز، بس عن مشروعات في هنا في الدولة المضيفة الأردن، وكلمت فيها مع الجهات المسؤولة. فمن غيرها ندخل في التفاصيل بتاعة المشروعات اللي احنا شغالين عليها بإذن الله مع البنك الإسلامي Islamic Development Bank. فاحنا عايزين first of all to convert to English because our speaker prefers the English language. And I'd like to welcome him, thank him for being with us, Mr. Shahrayar Jawid. And I'm asking him, how does the Islamic Development Bank see the challenges and the opportunities, which is more important in the Arab region for an economic perspective, and how can these opportunities contribute to real economic growth? And this is exactly the title of Cluster 3 of the Arab Digital Agenda, digital economy and transition to digital economy per se. So good morning, Said. Nice to have you here. And please give us your perspective on that. And also very quickly, what actions are being taken by the bank in these similar areas.
Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum and good morning to all. First of all, I would like to pay my regards and thanks to UNESCO and the government of Jordan to invite the Islamic Development Bank to this important discussion. And my intervention is actually made much more easier after listening to the previous panelists, especially on regarding the challenges. So I'll focus more on what the Islamic Development Bank understands and its and how does it approach. So to start with, the Islamic Development Bank really practices the approach on thinking globally and acting locally. So we need to understand the local challenges, dynamics within the region that we are operating in. And the bank, for those who are not aware, that the Islamic Development Bank has been in operation for over 50 years now. This year, we will be celebrating our 50th anniversary, and we operate in 57 member states. So we are providing services for the development sector for our member states for the past 50 years. And more recently, we are focusing on the digital inclusion part. So I love the word that was anchored by the first two speakers, inclusive. So our new digital inclusion operational strategy is about how we can be inclusive in our digital journey for uplifting the digital economy for member states. So before I speak about the exact measures that the Islamic Development Bank is taking, I would like to focus on the key challenges that we feel are important that the room should be thinking about and how we can collectively work towards those challenges. So what we feel, there are three main categories. So the first category is the gap in the digital infrastructure. And the further drilling down into that infrastructure gap is the urban-rural divide, where we feel that, even in the Arab region, we have 50% of the Arab population which lacks basically internet access, especially in the rural areas where it is being highly underserved. The second category within the infrastructure is the affordability, the broadband affordability. So many more who even have access are facing the challenges of high cost of mobile data broadband services in low-income economies such as, let's say, Yemen and Sudan in the region, as per the World Bank 2023 report. Last but not least is the last mile connectivity, especially in conflict-affected areas. So countries like Libya, Syria. So these are certain opportunities and challenges that we feel that the bank foresee in the Arab region that could be addressed through addressing the digital infrastructure side. So we come in as an enabling infrastructure facilitator. The second category of the challenge that I would like to focus on is the digital skills and literacy. 60% of the Arab youth lack advanced digital skills needed for the tech-driven economy. So all the tech-driven jobs, and it's not us, it's the World Bank report that it says that was published in 2023. The subcategory within the digital skills, of course, is the gender disparity, where women are 20% less likely to use internet than men. So there's a mismatch between the education curriculum and the industry needs. And then there are cultural and economic, barriers that limits women's participation. Last but not least, the other category that the bank really emphasizes on its importance is the regulatory fragmentation. What do I mean by that? Is the inconsistency between the digital policies across different countries that hinders cross-border e-commerce, cross-border data, cross-border digital payments. Slow adoption of digital IDs is also another aspect which is related to the digital, regulatory framework or its harmonization. If you drill down to statistics, only 30% of the Arab nations have, comprehensive data protection laws. So I really like the initial, talk by UNCTAD on that. They're also working on the digital governance, and of course, we are happy to see how we can collectively work together and address these challenges. Now, of course, there are some other dependencies like domination of cash that have, because of the low trust in digital payments, logistics gaps, and because of the Arab content as per the local areas. So there are certain elements which basically hinders, and we are happy to work with different governments in the region to come up with innovative ecosystems and encourage a right policy framework so the private sector could come in and even fund, let's say, startups or VCs could come in outside the Gulf states. So we've seen that the Gulf states are actually doing pretty good in this domain, and even they are attracting so much of private sector investments. But I guess the policy framework are the challenges that we need to address so that we can even bring in these investments in other Arab countries as well. Now I'll move on to what Islamic Development Bank is specifically doing. What we have recently done is we have made a pledge of $250 million as part of our digital inclusion operational strategy, where we are basically addressing all these three categories of challenges that I've just spoken. Some of the areas that we are focusing on, especially in the enabling infrastructure, is we are financing submarine cable connectivity projects. We are financing fiber optic backbones. We are financing data centers, technology parks. We are financing, creative innovation, AI hubs that could actually connect Arab states with other markets like African or Asian markets as well. We are also financing climate smart digital solutions that would promote IoTs, AI for sustainable agriculture, healthcare, smart education, and efficient water management systems. The second category of what ISDB is basically helping its member states in the capacity building. It's basically launching campaigns and programs that would basically strengthen the capacity of policymakers. So we have recently done a few of the programs for Africa region. We have done it for Asia Pacific in partnership with ITU, in partnership with UNDP, and we can explore this partnership with UNESCOR to do it for Arab region as well. Last but not least, we are also doing the institutional capacity building for different ministries to help come up with their master plan. So if they do not have any master plan of where they would like to go in terms of how they can adopt emerging technologies, we are doing very customized institutional capacity building to help them have this capacity so they are equipped enough to do their master plan for digital journey of their respective countries. So what we feel in a nutshell, the Islamic Development Banks really believes that the Arab region's digital transformation hinges on bridging infrastructure, skills, and regulatory gaps. While leveraging the youth demographics and Islamic finance, ISDB can drive the inclusive growth, foster regional cohesion, and positive outcome of the uplifting of socioeconomic conditions of the Arab region. And of course, I'm here to address any further questions that.
Thank you so much, Said. Thank you so much. Do you hear me over the Zoom?
Yes.
Okay, that's good. So we might have a quick, like ending notes. Now I plan to have a second round, but because of the timing, we will have just a little bit borrowing from the next session, but not so much. So we have like 5 minutes more for ending notes, listening to two things quickly. Each panelist would tell us what is the first and topmost gap that needs to be tackled, be it, for example, regulatory or the financing or measurement, or the first top gap that needs to be tackled to boost the digital economy in the region. And the other thing, what is their, inshallah, level of engagement in the Arab Digital Agenda, implementation of what we have already had before, and also in working together in developing new sections of the second edition, like adding the UPU perspective or more of AI or things like that. Before I launch this second round, I'd like to recall again the cluster 3, the title of cluster 3 in the Arab Digital Agenda, if you allow me. And this is actually focusing on what me and Torbjörn have missed a lot in the action lines, the 11 action lines of the WSIS. This is something like a little bit of, we understand each other because we're planning also for enhancing the WSIS 2.0 beyond 2025. And we know that there is 11 action lines, and in the Arab region, we added a 12th action line called digital economy, long time ago. So anyways, there is missing gaps in even the global, let us say, structures. So our cluster 3 is entitled the ICT sector per se, the ICT sector from a productive point of view, not from infrastructure enabling, conventionally known for that, but the ICT sector, industry and exports and so on. So the second part of the title is ICT sector and the transition to digital economy. As one of the distinguished panelists said, we see it as a transition coming from the transformation. So eventually, even the Moroccan colleagues in Morocco, they have chosen the word transition to digital economy in their new structure in the government and not transformation. So why is that? Because the transformation in itself is not a goal, but they chose to say transition to digital economy, which has the so-called transformation inside it. So every one of us now really wants to have his economy and the country's economy and his next generation's economics benefiting from having revenues out of it as a producer and exporter, not as a consumer. So we have two pillars under that. We tackled this digital economy cluster under two pillars, so-called Pillar 5 and Pillar 6. So the first one, focusing on the supply side. Let us create a lucrative and innovative ICT sector that has a proper classification under the proper national accounts to be seen. The challenge that Mr. Saud has seen in the country, how to classify. The issue of measurement classification is part and parcel of this lucrative and innovative ICT sector. Then the R&D thing. Then we have the investment and how to measure the FDI and how to measure the returns from the sector and how also to measure its contribution to the national economy. We see experiences here. We will benefit from it afterwards. So this is how to build a supply side strong sector that provides products and services for consumption, but they provide it locally, not from abroad. The other thing, which is the receiving side, we have the Pillar 6, which is multi-dimensional transition to digital economy, which means multi-sectoral transition. And we focused here on productive sectors. So when you make a transition through a section that is already productive, like the agriculture or like whatever manufacturing or whatever you do in your country. So we focused on these sectors to give them priority on the transition. So that is our vision. Strengthen the supply, strengthen the benefit of the ICT sector in also productive sectors, and this can be an acceleration. So from this perspective, I'd like to hear the challenge and also the pledge for being part of our journey. So I'll start by Torbjörn.
Thank you. So I'd like to just first commend Oman for always have been a bit of a champion on the measurement side. So appreciated working with Oman for the past 20 years, I would say. One challenge that we're facing is that we don't have an internationally agreed definition of the digital economy. Of course, we're always referring to the digital economy, but we may mean different things in our minds when we think about the digital economy. So this is something we need to continue to work on at the global level. And I just want to draw your attention to UNCTAD's working group on measuring e-commerce and the digital economy that we have since a few years, and where all member states are very welcome to participate, and we encourage that. And we have also set up a specified task group on measuring the value of e-commerce, because one of the problems with e-commerce is that countries measure it differently. So when we have one number from one country, we cannot directly compare it with a number from another country. We need to fix that. So we're working together with our partners, with all the member states who are interested. If other Arab states are interested in joining, you're most welcome. We hope to have international guidelines agreed upon by the end of this year. So we are in high speed forward there. And just wanted to also mention there was a reference here by the Islamic Development Bank about the climate smart solutions and so on and so forth. One area that has become a high priority issue with regard to digitalization, digital economy, is the environmental footprint of it, because we haven't really paid much attention to it in the past, but this needs to get attention from a climate change perspective, from a pollution perspective, from the resource needs. We expect that the demand for certain critical minerals will expand by 500% because of the digital transformation and the energy transition that we're all in the midst of. So how are we going to deal with that? All these things need to be up on the table and not seen as something de-linked from each other. Finally, on this issue, we will have a meeting in Geneva on the 12th to the 14th of May this year, where all the member states come together to discuss this particular issue. You're most welcome to join. And I hope that Islamic Development Bank will also be able to come.
Which meeting is it, the title?
That is the Intergovernmental Group of Experts on e-commerce and the digital economy.
Okay, thank you. So we'll hope to be also there. Thank you for what you have said. Measurement is an issue. Measurement is number one objective in the cluster. And not only UNCTAD and the colleagues here are involved in the measurement, but I involved also the NSOs to be part of the dialogues. And in Jordan, we had a discussion with Atuf Haidar Freyhat as well. So we'll do something here also. And I suggest to do a meeting in the region on this topic with UNCTAD, UPU, and either in Oman or in Jordan to take it further. And so what is your final concluding remarks? Yes, it's working.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. So maybe to conclude, maybe one challenge I think that still remains the need to strengthen cross-sectoral collaboration, primarily when it comes to optimizing the implementation of the strategies that we might put in place, because ultimately the digital economy, it's a transversal issue. So and a lot of the times we tend to, let's say, work in silos, and we are missing out on several opportunities in order to maximize the impact of any potential implementation. So the strengthening of a multi-sectorial mechanism in order to optimize implementations, I think is extremely important.
30 seconds. Yeah.
Yes, and that's it. So maybe just to conclude, also in the spirit of advancing collaboration, we are also hosting a Postal Leaders Forum at the end of April in Doha. And
so maybe we can look into doing it back to back also in Doha or Oman or Jordan. But let us now listen to Mr. Saud Al-Shaili.
شكرا أحمد. إنه يعني في وجهة نظري أنه أكبر تحدي إحنا نواجهه في المنطقة العربية هو الديماند ستيميوليشن. المنطقة العربية is very well established when it comes to infrastructure, when it comes to legislation ecosystem, skill sets. لكنه demand stimulation يعني how we will efficiently and effectively utilize هذا الانفراستراكشر still is not in par with the supply side. أنا أعطي مثال واحد. أنا يعني بحكم تعاملي مع المشغلين مرخص لهم في قطاع الاتصالات اللي هم telecom operators والconsumers. telecom operators يتكلموا أنه take up of their services is not fast, is not high rate. يعني تحصل البرودباند connectivity مرة يمكن 25-35% actual take up of the infrastructure. The consumers from the other side يشتكوا أنه الفواتير عالية. They pay high. They pay high because they use it only for their leisure, just to serve the net, social networking. There is nothing productive. لكنه if the end consumer use their connectivity for something purposeful, for something productive for them, اللي هي demand to serve them on their daily life, we will have less complaint about الفاتورة عالية أو الفاتورة is very
Very clear. So the balance
That is-
between the supply and the demand.
Exactly, because I mean, we have spent, يعني, the investment in the region is very substantial when it comes to infrastructure. I mean, in Oman, we have 21 submarine cable. We have 5G coverage up to 95%. We have something like 80% fixed broadband connectivity. So we have everything in place. I'm talking about Oman experience, but when it comes to demand, yani, do we have, for example, education fully online? No. Do we have health sector partially online? No. Do we have e-commerce online fully? No. That is one challenge. The second challenge is the security ecosystem.
The trust
The
element.
trust, yes. The security issues break the trust between the end user and the supply side. يعني إذا واحد مر بتجربة يعني غلط, he will be يعني reluctant next time to use the internet, for example, for their services, for their money transaction, for whatever. شكرا.
Thank you so much. So that is an important like resonance with the way of we thought of that, like the supply is good, but also we have to stimulate the demand, and we have also to create beneficial, meaningful use for the users. So last 1 minute and 1 minute from the Arab Federation, and then from Jordan.
اوكي طبعا الاقتصاد الرقمي او الاقتصاد بشكل عام، اول ما نقول كلمه اقتصاد اول معنى بيجي لعقلنا هو السوق بمعناه الواسع. ف the biggest challenge على مستوى العالم العربي هو ان انا ما عنديش unified او connected market يستفيد من حجم البشري الكبير اللي يفوق ال 450 مليون نسمه. فبالتالي كل الاسواق تقريبا محليه، لكن الكروس بوردر تريد بمشاكله دي لسه مش ادريسد بالشكل الكافي، رغم ان احنا عندنا اتفاقيه الجافتا اللي هي ان اكشن من سنه 2005 وموقعه سنه 98 ولها مشاكلها الكتيره اللي مش وقت ان انا نحكي عنها. لكن ان انا يكون عندي يونيفايد ماركت ده جزء مهم جدا يشجع ويقدر ينمي السوق ويأثر على المؤشرات الاقتصاديه الاساسيه زي الجي دي بي بير كابيتا او الجي دي بي بير كابيتا بيرتشيزنج باور على سبيل المثال، او الجروث او الانفليشن. كل المؤشرات الهامه دي اعتقد انها تكون لها نقدر نحسنها جدا لو ركزنا على يونيفاينج السوق. وده يدعوني للتاكيد على نقطتين اساسيتين يمكن الاخوه اتكلموا فيها قبل كده. الجزء الاولاني اللي هو الكونكشن او تو بي كونكتد، ان كل البروديوسرز يكونوا كونكتد، وبالتالي الماركت جزء كبير جدا من الماركت هو السبلاي يكون موجود اونلاين، والسيرفيسز اللي هي بتخدم على السبلاي ده البوست والدليفري والانشورنس وات ايفر لوجيستكس يكونوا كونكتد، وبالتالي اقدر ان انا اخلق السوق واقدر اشغله بشكل جيد.
تمام.
النقطه الاخيره هي التراست، ودي انتوا اتكلمتوا فيها لكن هي في غايه الاهميه. وانوه ان الاستراتيجيه الاصليه او من سنه يمكن 2016 الاتحاد الاوروبي كان عامل حاجه اسمها تراست مارك لدعم التجاره الالكترونيه وتحسين ظروف العمل في السوق الإلكتروني، وده احنا محتاجينه، ومحتاجين يكون التراست مارك موجودة
تمام.
ولها صبغة
شكراً.
قانونية. شكرا جزيلا.
شكرا. وطبعا هناخد من حضراتكم من خلال المراسلات proposals لتنفيذ أوردنا هذه الفجوات مداخلة المملكة الأردنية الهاشمية. Final conclusion in a minute.
I think there are several challenges if we want to talk about digital transformation. I think cybersecurity is one of the challenges. I think we have lack of digital skills. We need to do more training about digital transformation and programs. I also think that we need to change, the culture. I think there is organizational resistance, to new technologies. I think also we need to expand our partnerships with the fintechs, with the more e-government agencies, with the new technology providers. So I think we also need, we can't, we can't accept also the infrastructure. We also need to modernize our infrastructure, especially in the postal sector.
Very good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And last 30 seconds for Shahriyar. Shahriyar, when can we meet again soon physically in the region? And we plan it together. That is your 30 seconds.
Thank you very much. I think first and foremost, the Islamic Development Bank really feels that we need to address the digital divide for the low-income countries and the growing AI divide in the high-income countries. So we are actually open to both options, and we strongly believe that the digital inclusion operational strategy of the bank really addresses the two divides that we can address through financial. So basically, we empower people financially through digital inclusion so that they have digital economic opportunities to grow in the respective countries in the Arab region.
Inshallah. Inshallah. So anyways, I will wrap up this session by thanking all the panelists, and I'm pledging that we create a network for the digital economy actors in the region. And we start with this panel and with the audience, and we'll send you more details on a regional program. We are going to sign today an MOU between one of the ADA champions and the ESCWA to strengthen the implementation. And this is going to be a side event by ESCWA and the Arab Forum on Digital Economy. There is also some MOUs that to be signed during the week. And we are not signing MOUs only, we are creating programs for each cluster. So I would like that the countries are part and parcel of it. And inshallah, together we are strong.